The 2020 NFL regular season is done, and as we head into the playoffs of this 2020-21 season, I'm going to be going over my full NFL playoff predictions. We're going to be going over every game that I predict will happen here in this postseason, along with I'll be predicting my Super Bowl champion for this 2020-21 NFL playoffs, which I definitely think this is going to be the best playoffs we've seen in quite a while. Here's what the playoff bracket is looking like right now. Got Kansas City coming in at number 1 on the AFC side, then Green Bay is the number 1 on the NFC side. So those are the two teams get the first round bye. And of course, with the new rule allowing 7 teams from both conferences, we've got the Indianapolis Colts being the 7th seed on the AFC side, then the Chicago Bears being the 7th seed on the NFC side. So we got several really good matchups, especially coming up in the wild card round. Just to highlight a few, we got the Steelers and the Browns playing again. That's a rematch game of a Week 17 matchup between the Steelers and the Browns. So that should make for a good matchup there, and especially for the Browns, considering, this is the first time Cleveland's been in the playoffs in over a decade and a half. So this is going to be a huge matchup for the Browns if they're wanting to make it into the playoffs a little bit further. But then you got the Bills, of course, who are on fire right now. They're going up against the Colts. And we got the Titans going up against a Ravens team. Ravens are definitely the dark horse team of this playoffs, I think. I think we're going to see the Ravens possibly gun it, maybe having a long run in the playoffs. Ravens over the past few weeks have been playing as good as they ever have this entire season. So the Ravens are on fire right now, and that's going to be interesting to see how far the Ravens can get. But as far as it goes on the NFC side, we got the Redskins and the Buccaneers going head-to-head with the 4 and the 5 seed there. Then we got the Seahawks and the Rams, 3 versus 6. Then the Saints and the Bears are the 2 versus 7. So really, we got several good matchups in the NFC as well. Really, if you look at, the Redskins or the Washington football team right now, of course, they had a big win over Philadelphia last night in the Sunday Night Football matchup, and if they would have taken a loss there, the Giants would be in at the 4 seed. Of course, the Eagles seem to have thrown the game, so that puts Washington into the 4 seed there. They're going to be going up against the Buccaneers in the first round. Buccaneers are also looking really good right now. I think both 5 seeds definitely have got a good chance to go pretty far in the playoffs this season. Got the Seahawks and the Rams going in at the 3 and the 6 game. That's also a rematch of a game a couple of weeks ago. Should make it for a good matchup. Then we got the Saints and the Bears lastly in the NFC. Saints, of course, with Drew Brees. This is more than likely Drew Brees' last season. So really for Drew Brees, that's going to be a huge game for him, especially considering this may be his last time to possibly win a Super Bowl. So he's going to be really motivated, I'm sure, in that matchup against the Chicago team, which has also been halfway decent recently. So that being said, I'm going to go into some game predictions now, starting out with the Titans and the Ravens. It looks like the Ravens are the favorite going into that game right now, and I got to go with the Ravens. I think the Ravens are definitely the dark horse team of this playoffs this season. I think the Ravens, once again, if you look at their schedule down the stretch, especially over the past 5 or 6 games, this Ravens team has played as good as they have this entire season. They've been blowing out opponents, and for the Titans, the Titans are a great team as well. Tennessee is definitely capable, I think, of making it far, but the Titans aren't very experienced in the playoffs, for one. And for two, the Ravens, the Ravens are experienced in the playoffs. They know how to play in the playoffs. And we saw last season, it didn't really turn out so well for them. But this season, I definitely think Baltimore can make it a decent ways. But as far as it goes for Steelers and Browns, that should make for quite a matchup there. I got to go with Pittsburgh there. I think Pittsburgh's going to get the win over the Browns. I just don't see Cleveland winning 2 straight games over the Steelers in back-to-back weeks. we saw the Steelers be very dominant for the majority of that game last week, but the Browns kind of came back and got the win in the end. But really, it was quite a matchup, and I definitely think, even though Baker Mayfield is a quarterback that I definitely trust in, I think with the Steelers having Big Ben back, they're going to have all their players back. They didn't really play fully to their utmost ability in that game against the Browns in Week 17. So I got to go with Pittsburgh. I just don't see the Browns winning 2 straight games over the Steelers in back-to-back weeks. As far as it goes for the Bills and the Colts, I've got the Bills huge in that game. I think the Bills, that one might come back to bite a little bit, but I think the Bills are definitely a team that I definitely think could go a long ways in this playoffs. And they're the one team that I definitely think is capable of beating the Chiefs here. If you look at the Bills, they've been extremely dominant down the stretch. They have been improved a ton over the course of the season. Josh Allen is just as good as anybody at his position. That should make for a good matchup between the Bills and the Colts, but I got to go with the Buffalo Bills to beat the Colts there. Next up, we got the Redskins and the Buccaneers with the 4 and the 5 seed game. Should make for quite a matchup there as well, considering, Washington, they beat Philadelphia to get into that position, and the Giants are, I'm sure, pretty upset about that. But the Buccaneers right now, they're too good of a team, I think. If you look at them down the stretch, the Buccaneers have played just as good as really anyone. So I'm going to go with the Buccaneers to get the win over Washington there. Then we got the Seahawks and the Rams coming in, that 3 and 6 game. I think the Seattle Seahawks are all around the better team with Russell Wilson. And depending on whether or not Los Angeles has Jared Goff back, I mean, the Rams are pretty beat up right now. So I think the Seahawks are going to get the win there. It's going to be very close. I think the Rams, though, I mean, if they can get Jared Goff back, I definitely think the Rams could get the win there. But with Wolford, I just don't see the Rams getting the win over the Seahawks. I think the Seattle Seahawks are definitely going to be a huge motivated team in that matchup, and I definitely think Seattle is capable of making it a ways in this playoff. They're definitely the dark horse team, I would say, on the NFC side. Got the Saints and the Bears coming up with the 2 and 7 seed game. Of course, the Saints are looking like a pretty good team right now. I mean, they're not as good as the Packers, it seems to be right now, but I mean, when you got Drew Brees, of course, Drew Brees has got huge experience in the playoffs, and it's just a matter of whether or not the Saints can make it deep into the playoffs, because we've seen them in the past few years be a Super Bowl contending team, but they just have not been able to make it to the Super Bowl. So I definitely think the Saints are capable of doing that, and I'm going to give them the win over the Bears in the wild card round. So that's what your divisional round is going to look like. We got the Chiefs and the Ravens on the AFC side. Then we also got the Steelers and the Bills. And then on the NFC side, we got Green Bay facing off against Tampa Bay. If you don't remember, when the Buccaneers played the Packers back earlier on in the season, Buccaneers had a huge win. They completely blew out the Packers, which it's going to be in Lambeau this time, so that could make a big difference. I mean, Lambeau especially is going to be a tough place to play, and I know that there's going to be probably no fans in the stands hardly, but I mean, if you're having to play anywhere in the north in these kind of winter months, it's going to be a really tough place to play. And the Packers, I mean, we saw the Packers play the Titans back in Week 16. Packers were very experienced and very comfortable in the winter weather. Meanwhile, Tennessee wasn't. For Tampa Bay here, they got to hope when they travel to Green Bay in the divisional round that it is not going to be really bad weather-wise, because, of course, Tampa Bay is in Florida. So that can make a huge difference there with the weather, and I definitely think most players are not really going to want to have to go to Green Bay here. But we got Seattle and New Orleans also going head-to-head. That should make for a good matchup between Russell Wilson and Drew Brees. So that's what the divisional round looks like. Starting off with the Chiefs and the Ravens, 1 versus 5 seed game there in the divisional. I got to go with the Chiefs here. I think the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes are too good of a team to let down in the first round. But I definitely think the Ravens, Baltimore's got a good chance to win that game. I think it's going to be a very close matchup there. Ravens are going to keep it within a touchdown to 2 touchdowns for the majority of the game, and that's how it's going to finish out. No blowout there. Patrick Mahomes is too good of a quarterback to let go in the first round. I mean, Lamar Jackson's great as well, but the Chiefs have just got so many more weapons around them right now that have been performing excellent over the course of the season. We also got Pittsburgh and Buffalo going head-to-head, and really, I mean, considering Buffalo hasn't really been in the playoffs or been deep in the playoffs in a while, I mean, it's tough to predict that game because, I mean, Steelers with Big Ben do have a more experienced quarterback than Josh Allen with the Bills. I got to go with Buffalo, though. Buffalo is looking way too good of a team to let go in the divisional, though, right now. I definitely think there is a chance that maybe they slip up down the stretch, but I think Pittsburgh down the stretch has probably been the worst team in the second half of the season in the majority of these teams in the playoffs, because, I mean, if you look at the Steelers, I mean, they started out, I think it was 10-0 or 11-0, and they lost like 4 of their last 5 or something like that, and, I mean, they're a 12-4 team coming into the playoffs, which is not all that great of a record considering where they started at. But the Bills, I mean, Bills are too good of a team right now. They're playing as good as really anybody in the playoffs here. I'm going to go with Buffalo to get the win over the Steelers. Then we got the Packers and Tampa Bay going head-to-head in the divisional round up in the NFC, and that's going to be the first game for the Green Bay Packers in these playoffs. And I think the Packers, I mean, with them being at home, and if there's a chance that we do see some winter weather up in Green Bay and up in Lambeau, I think the Packers definitely have got the huge advantage there. I'm going to go with Green Bay to get the win over the Buccaneers. Seahawks and Saints going head-to-head, and that one's a really tough one to predict, mainly because Russell Wilson is pretty experienced now with the Seahawks, and he's got some great wins under his belt, some great playoff appearances. With the Saints, I mean, I think Drew Brees is going to be super motivated. He's going to lead his team to a win over the Seattle Seahawks, and we're going to see the Saints in the NFC Championship game. So you're going to say that these predictions are boring because we got 1 and 2 seed games in the NFC and AFC Championships, but really, I mean, it's tough for me to see anything else happening at this point. I think the Bills are too good of a team to let go right now. And then you got Patrick Mahomes on the Kansas City side, which I don't really see him getting upset right now considering he's pretty experienced. And once again, when you're a young quarterback and you win a Super Bowl, usually you're going to be much more comfortable in the playoffs moving forward, which can honestly give you a huge advantage moving forward. But we also got the Packers and the Saints going head-to-head in the NFC Championship, which we saw the Packers and the Saints play earlier on in the season as well. And the Packers won that one in New Orleans, which this time it's going to be in Lambeau, so it's going to be a tough place to play for sure. But it should make for 2 great matchups in the NFC and AFC matchups. Starting off with Kansas City and Buffalo, though, I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes going up against Josh Allen, two great young quarterbacks, two quarterbacks that are definitely going to be in the league for a long time and have huge impacts on their teams. But for Buffalo's going to be very motivated in this game, and Buffalo's proven over the past few weeks that they definitely can handle high-pressure situations, and that's kind of something you got to watch out for as you head into the playoffs. You got to be cautious with the teams that have not been in the playoffs very much. Like, that happened last season with the Ravens. That happened several seasons ago with some other teams, of course, and I think for Buffalo right now, and that's going to kind of happen in Cleveland, I think. I think the Browns are good, or they're a good team, definitely capable of winning that game, but they just are not experienced in the playoffs right now. And really for the Bills, they're not very experienced either, but I definitely think, once again, if you look at their high-pressure games, they're very important games, Buffalo's played very well. Buffalo's going up against Kansas City there. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills to get the win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Huge upset there. We're going to see the Bills in the Super Bowl. That is kind of crazy to think about, and if you told me at the beginning of the season that we'd probably be seeing, or there's a chance that we'd even be seeing the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl, I would have definitely thought you were crazy, but that's where we're at right now. Bills are definitely a team that is capable of winning, I think, a Super Bowl this season. I mean, Josh Allen is just as good as anybody this year. Packers and Saints going head-to-head in Lambeau should make for a good matchup, a rematch of a prior matchup this season. I'm going with Green Bay here. I think Drew Brees is definitely capable of winning this game for sure, and I definitely think the Saints can win it, but I think the Packers are, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is too good of a quarterback right now. He's playing his best season that he probably ever has. And really considering his age, I mean, he's playing on fire right now. And really the Packers have got everything going for them right now heading into the playoffs. You've got Devontae Adams, best receiver in the NFL. You got Aaron Jones coming in, which Aaron Jones has been very improved this season. Offensive line has been great, even though they don't have Bakhtiari going into the playoffs. That's going to be kind of that could come back to bite a little bit, but I definitely think this offensive line is still good enough. And then the defensive side as well has been very improved over the course of the season. Green Bay's got everything going for them right now, so I'm going to give them the win over the Saints. But the Saints, they're going to keep it very close, and I would not be surprised if we saw a Bills-Saints Super Bowl. But I'm going to go with a Bills-Packers Super Bowl. Both teams are going to definitely be deep contenders in the playoffs for sure. It's just a matter of how far that they can go. But I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers to win the Super Bowl this season. Green Bay is just too good of a team right now. Once again, they are on fire. Aaron Rodgers is playing as good as he ever has. Devontae Adams is playing as good as he ever has. And everything is going right for the Packers right now. I mean, there's a chance they do get upset down the stretch. We've seen some crazy upsets this season. But the Packers, I think, are just going to be as consistent as the Packers have been and as experienced as Aaron Rodgers is. I'd pick Aaron Rodgers over Josh Allen, mainly because of the experience factor. I think Aaron Rodgers being in the league for however many years more than Josh Allen is going to really help the Packers here. Green Bay is going to win the Super Bowl. That's who I'm going to have winning the Super Bowl this season, and really that's no bias or anything. I definitely think the Packers are genuinely the team who are going to win it this season. I mean, I think we all can agree that the Packers are definitely the hottest team in the league right now. I mean, the Chiefs are also looking really good, but I just think the Chiefs, having won a Super Bowl last season, there is a chance they do get upset at some point down this stretch. But once again, that being said, I'm going to go with the Packers. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on these playoffs. Let me know your thoughts on the bracket in the comments as well. If you enjoyed this video, slap a like on it, subscribe as well as a roll up to the channel. I really appreciate that. But once again, thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you later.